So probably the best place for me to start talking about my experiences is to go back to about 2017. I'd split from my partner, 3 kids. We're living in rented accommodation and, I was on medication, depression and anxiety. My life was a bit of a mess, really. Eldest kid was also on medication for stress, so things weren't great, and we were having to use a food bank to put food on the table. I never managed a budget myself, so when my partner left me, I didn't know what to do, didn't know how to put a proper meal time together for a week or anything like that. We normally lived off frozen food, sometimes had takeaways, that kind of stuff. When I had help from an advisor and we had a conversation about how to shop wisely, I really hadn't got a clue. Like I said, my partner had taken responsibility for our finances, and what I didn't know was that they had a bit of a gambling habit, so I ended up in a bit of a mess. We were in debt to creditors, including utilities, we owed council tax, we owed rent, we owed banks and credit card companies. And if someone said to me, could you put together a budget? All I could ever really think about was just that all the money went to other people. The bank account was just in my name though, which was good. And then I was able to get her blocked from being able to access the account. And once I'd done that, at least I had some control over the money that was coming in. I was in a part-time job. I also got some benefits as a consequence of the fact that I had the 3 kids and the money I was getting from the part-time job wasn't enough to pay for anything. But if it hadn't been for the food bank and the kids getting the school meals free, we'd have been in a right mess. I used to have to get the kids cereal for their dinner in the evenings. Anyway, with the help of an advisor, we started to get things sorted, and they suggested to me back in 2018, I use a financial app. Download an app, he said, that'll help you manage your money better and try and spend your money wisely and let this app monitor what you spend your money on. So I downloaded something called Yolt and started using just my debit card rather than cash. Just used the debit card to pay for everything, and Yolt kept track of everything I was doing with my money. Took a bit of setting up, but once it was set up, it started to do quite clever things with me, I think. For one thing, it pointed out how much I was spending on McDonald's, and of course the consequence of that was that I was spending money to treat the kids, and then I was depriving them later in the week because we had no money to put food on the table in the normal way. So using this app started to help me better manage my money, that's for certain. It was also one of the app's suggestions that I put together a sort of savings account, rainy day account if you like. And even though I was in debt, I was able to put a bit of money every week into that account. So every now and then I'd have an update with the advisor, and this time they said, have you tried using something called Emma? It was another app. And they said, don't use it instead of Yolt, use it as an addition. So I did. I used Emma, and they also suggested I might want to try using something called Snoop. And Snoop did some clever things for me. Snoop worked out how I could save money on my utilities, and I hadn't even thought about how I could do that. And the advisor had told me to investigate it, even told me who I should contact to make inquiries. But actually, it takes a lot of time and effort, and it's not always easy to know what the best deal is, but this thing called Snoop seemed to be pretty good at it, and I started to make savings straight away on my utility bills. The whole process of using apps became a bit of a family game, really. My kids started to become quite competitive about who could find what app that could make the best savings for us, or give us the best deal, or provide us with some kind of help or other to put us into a better place. And they found an app for food sharing called Olio. And they found another one called Sweatcoin, which sounds a bit odd, but actually has given us the chance to get a few things we couldn't have been able to get otherwise. And between 2018 and 2019, we managed to get into a position using these apps where I was at least up to date with all my priority bills. And okay, this year's been tough because I was on furlough. Wages went down to only 80% of what they were, but ironically, I've got some savings in that rainy day account that Yolt had me set up back in 2018. Wasn't a lot, but it was enough to keep me okay for a few months. And again this year, I used Snoop and again found a way of helping me save money on some of my utility bills. My kids have signed up to something called Free Cycle, which is another way of finding things for free on the internet. All these little things, all these little bits of progress that I've made have made quite a difference to me as an individual. I don't take any more medication. I feel like I'm back in control of my life. Still stressed about money because, we're on low income, but I do a lot more exercise with my kids, partly because of the apps, which encourage us to do that. And that first app, Yolt, gave me a lot of confidence in terms of being able to better manage the money that I had. And in a way, it was Yolt that pointed me towards some of the other apps. For me, as an individual, I don't understand why these apps aren't being offered to everybody who's in the same position as me. Now, the advisor warned me and said, "Now look, be careful with the apps when you take them, because they'll try and get you to spend money on other things. The trick is to avoid what they're trying to get you to spend money on and just use them to help you save money. Wherever you can save money, take advice from the app." And that's what I've done. And I'm in a better place because of it. And I happen to think other people could be too, if they knew the apps were there.